What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens Manga chapter review. Today, guys, we are going to be going over chapter 4 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens Manga. And let me just start off by saying this. It feels so weird to be doing this series again after waiting a while for us not only being able to get the chapters for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens Manga, but also for the Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG Structures manga. We finally ended up getting not only chapter 4 of the Sevens manga and chapter 16 for OCG Structures, we also got chapter 5 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga. Unfortunately, we didn't get chapter 17 of OCG Structures, but the fact that the site just came back up for MangaDex, for people that don't know, MangaDex, which is the site that is being used to be able to translate, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga and OCG Structures, ended up getting hacked to the point where their account and their site had to end up getting shut down, to the point where the people who created MangaDex had to basically start from scratch again. They had to essentially rebuild their code and had to create a new MangaDex site. So while we had to wait for that, it just became to the case where we just had to wait until that site came back and the chapters for the other mangas just getting further and further and further away. But now that MangaDex is finally back and running, we can now get back into doing stuff for the Sevens manga and OCG Structures. And in this video, we'll be going over chapter 4 for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga. I will do one for OCG Structures and chapter 5 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga later down the line. But in this video in particular, we're just going to be focused on chapter 4 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga. So, with all of that in mind, without further ado, let's not waste any more time and let's jump right into it. Hey guys, post-editing me here. Before we actually get into the review portion of the video, I do want to quickly mention something in regards to future chapters for the OCG Structures manga and the Sevens manga in particular. As you may all probably are aware of, we are behind in regards to the Sevens manga and the OCG Structures manga, as you know, with MangaDex being down and all that stuff that ended up happening. Obviously, we weren't able to have chapters being translated, so that's essentially why we're now getting chapter 16, 4, and 5 being translated. So with that in mind, if you guys have been looking ahead in the OCG Structures manga or the Sevens manga, whatever you're more into, if you are going to mention something from those future chapters, whether it's to show that one of my theories is going to happen or is not going to happen because of a future chapter, please put a spoiler warning on your comments. This is for the people that do come and watch these review series and they don't want to be spoiled on future chapters. For the respect of them, if you're going to spoil something in future chapters, put a spoiler warning on it. And this is a fair warning as well if you don't end up doing it, and I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to be able to do it, especially for this first video. So if you do not put a spoiler warning on it and it's not changed at some point, and hopefully you guys will mention it to the people that do post a spoiler on there without putting a spoiler warning on it. If someone posts a spoiler on it, please try to mention to them to kind of change their comment and make sure to put a spoiler warning on it. That way I don't have to take the comment down, as if that is not resolved and it's not changed into a spoiler warning, I am going to remove the comment from YouTube. I want to be able to have the people that don't want to be spoiled on the chapters to be able to talk in the comment section, to be able to discuss their own feelings on the chapter and make their own predictions. But I don't want them to have to ruin their experience because they ended up getting spoiled in the comment section. So for the respect of them, if you're going to mention something about future chapters that you know of, like if a particular duel is going to happen that I predicted in like this review or something like that, please just put a spoiler warning on it. That's all I ask. And yeah, that's just really what I wanted to say in regards to this. This is, again, also in regards to OCG Structures as well. So with that in mind, let's get back into actually doing the review series. I do apologize for having to do a little bit of post-editing here, but I ended up forgetting mentioning it in the review, so that's just my bad. I didn't really think about it when I was doing the review. So with that in mind, let's get back into the actual review for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga. So, generally speaking, what were my thoughts on Chapter 4 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga? Well, for the first chapter that we've gotten in a while, I thought this was a pretty interesting chapter, in my opinion, as this chapter introduced Mimi into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga, which honestly I was really not seeing her being introduced this early into the manga. Now, I know she was introduced pretty early in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens anime. She was introduced in episode 7, but I really did thought that Mimi was going to be introduced after maybe one of the side characters got introduced, whether it is one of the side characters or two. So your Khans, your Bakuros, your Metsuboros. I thought at least one of those characters were going to get introduced before Mimi, but am I mad about this? Absolutely not. In my opinion, honestly, I prefer Mimi over characters like Khan and Metsuboro. I don't really care about those characters that much, and Mimi is a little bit more of an interesting character in my opinion. So the fact that she makes her debut into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga, I absolutely loved it, as this is really the first character that got introduced into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga that obviously wasn't the main core four. So it was pretty interesting for Mimi to make her debut in this chapter, and we do learn a little bit about Mimi in this chapter, which is very similar to her anime counterpart, as not only is she a 5th grader that goes to the Goha 7th Elementary School, which is the same school that Luke goes to, but also we find out in this chapter as well that she works for Goha Corporation, and she really does respect Goha Corporation, as earlier in the chapter she does mention about all the stuff that Goha Corporation has done, from creating stuff like pacifiers to being able to make dueling possible, to just a whole bunch of stuff. Essentially, Goha being able to do everything, and she basically respects what Goha Corporation does, and she feels really honored to be in the spot that she currently is, as we do learn in this chapter as well, that she's not only just a 5th grader that goes to Goha 7th Elementary, but she works for Goha Corporation. In fact, she is a member of Top of Hexagon, which obviously we know from the anime was a team of 6 members that were essentially under President Goha. And let me just start off by saying this. I really do hope with this manga series, and I do think there's a good chance that this could happen. I really do hope that the Top of Hexagon members are a little bit more relevant than what they were in the anime, because I'm going to be completely honest, the Top of Hexagon members in the anime were complete jokes. I don't really understand the purpose of Top of Hexagon in the anime. They just feel like fodder to that point in the story, because essentially we didn't learn about any of the members besides Mimi, and essentially what ended up happening was that they lost to Nail, which was the most notable thing that they did in the show, and then they disappeared. I mean, currently where we're at right now in the anime, we have not heard anything about the other Top of Hexagon members. In fact, after that duel with Nail that they had off screen, by the way, we literally have not seen these Goha Top of Hexagon members at all. So I really do hope that they just don't make them joke characters in the manga, and they actually are really big threats to Luke and the crew. I would really love if they do the Top of Hexagon members better in the manga than in the anime, for 2 reasons. One, I feel like the Top of Hexagon members should have done a little bit more, if I'm going to be completely honest. I did not like the fact that they were just joke of characters, in my opinion. I really did wish they did a little bit more, kind of similar to how I wish Soul Technologies from Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns kind of did a little bit more. I mean, we never got anything with the chess pieces and all the members of Soul Technologies, so I kind of thought that Top of Hexagon would kind of redeem that, but unfortunately they did not do that. And also, I think it's also good for the perspective of changing the story up a little bit. A big worry that I kind of have with the Sevens manga right now is that I just feel like it might not be that different from the Sevens anime, which is something that I've really loved with the other manga series, or at least love in the concept, because obviously I haven't read the 5Ds manga, the Zexal manga, the Arc 5 manga. The only manga I've really read was the first 15 chapters of the GX manga, and none of the chapters that I read from the GX manga are similar to the anime. So I was kind of hoping that the Sevens manga would kind of follow from the chapters that I've read from the GX manga. So I think a way of doing that is having the Top of Hexagon members a little bit more relevant in this story and actually be threats to the main group and not be absolute jokes and just get wiped the floor with by nails. So hopefully they're a little bit more relevant going forward. But she mentions that she is a part of Top of Hexagon, and we see her actually wearing the suit that she wore in episode 7 when she went to spy on Yugioh and the crew in the anime, and essentially she does the exact same thing as she ends up going to Yugioh's laboratory, essentially, and is watching Yugioh working on Kaizo, which now kind of thinking about it, and maybe I might be wrong in this since I haven't read the first 3 chapters since they ended up coming out, and I did my review series on them, so it's been a minute since I've seen those chapters, so I could be completely wrong on it, but I think this is the first time for the manga series that we've seen Kaizo in any capacity. Now, he didn't speak in this chapter or anything like that, but we see Yugioh working on Kaizo in this episode, and Mimi's just watching from the top of the roof, and she has a very disdain image of Yugioh in the group, as essentially what ended up happening was Yugioh ended up hacking into the Goha Corporation mainframe and was able to install rush duels, and obviously Mimi sees this as a big threat because right now in the Sevens manga world, everyone thinks that rush duels were created by Goha corporations. However, Mimi is really worried that the public will eventually find out that Goha Corporation did not create rush duels and it was Yugioh. So essentially what she's trying to do is she's trying to infiltrate Yugioh's laboratory to try and uninstall rush duels. That way the public wouldn't know that rush duels were created by Yugioh and not Goha Corporation. And she almost gets caught. She ends up making a whole bunch of noise, and Yugioh and the crew look up and they just think it was a rat and everything. She almost got caught. She continues to look over them, and as she's just doing a little bit of monologue, we see Luke just out of nowhere just with her, basically disagreeing with her, and out of nowhere, and by the way, wasn't even the topic of what she was mentioning. I think she was just still mentioning how she was going to uninstall rush duels. Luke just comes up there and says that she's wrong, that she's not going to be doing that, and that he's going to be the king of duels, which I find that hilarious because that wasn't even a point that was mentioned in the duel. And also, what's just so weird about this chapter as well is just thinking of the fact that Luke in the manga has not become the king of duels yet. Obviously, in the anime, he has already become the king of duels thanks to the tournament arc back in season 1. But right now in the manga, he's still not the king of duels. So it's very weird to see Luke still trying to become the king of duels. But in the anime, he's already accomplished that. And now we're getting the stuff like the Luke Man and all that stuff. So it's really weird to kind of come back to the Yugioh Sevens manga and realize that, yeah, Luke is still trying to become the king of duels, which is actually very fascinating. But after kind of doing that whole debate with Mimi, Luke actually challenges Mimi to a duel to kind of show him his strength, and she ends up accepting it, and we get a duel between Luke and Mimi, which we actually haven't seen in the anime yet, which is actually pretty interesting. So in regards to the duel itself, my general thoughts on the duel, it was okay. The duel was very short. It only lasted 2 turns with Mimi and Luke taking a turn each, but there was some interesting things that happened during this duel. We saw Mimi get her Dainkito ace out onto the field, which was the same ace she used against Yugioh in her debut duel in the Yugioh Sevens anime, which, to be fair, I wasn't really surprised by that at all, since Luke, Roman, Gagato, and Yugioh have been using the same ace monsters as they do in the anime, so for Mimi to do that as well is not really that much of a surprise at all. But there was some things that kind of did come out of Mimi's turn as well, as not only did it have a very interesting line from Roman, as when Mimi ended up gaining life points thanks to, I believe it was the Dainkito Ace's effect, she makes a statement how it was very interesting that you can gain life points over the original amount, which was a very weird and bizarre line to me because I always believed that people always knew that fact. I knew back in season 2 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens anime when there was a line made by not by Swirly, it was by Gakuto. Gakuto mentioned during the duel between Swirly and Otis how when two monsters attack with 0 attack points, nothing ends up happening. It's almost like when a monster with the same attack battles a monster with the same defense, nothing ends up happening, which is a fact that not a lot of people actually know when it comes to the card game, which is a very interesting concept. But taking it from the perspective of this, I think this is a little bit weirder because I've always thought everyone knew this. Like, the whole thing with 2 0 attack point monsters attacking each other, that one I can understand, because why would you attack with a monster with 0 attack points against another monster with 0 attack points? I guess to try to get rid of a monster on your field that can potentially become fodder and can hurt you later on in the duel, and if you're trying to get rid of it, I guess that could make sense. But other than that, I just really feel like you would never do that in a duel, so that one is a little bit more obscure. But the fact that she was surprised that you can gain life points over the original amount was really weird, and it makes me think, do people actually not know that you can gain life points over the original amount? Which I can understand that from Roman, since her whole deck, if I remember correctly, is losing a whole bunch of life points. So the fact that you can think about that from her deck, she'll probably never have over 4,000. So her not knowing that, in all honesty, makes sense. But that honestly poses a real life question. Like, do people not actually know that you can gain over the original amount of attack points? And let me know in the comments below, was that ever something that you were surprised about, or did you always know about that? I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that already know about that, but I'm still very curious on that. And if you do know someone that never knew about this, let me know. I would actually be very interested in that. But another thing that came out of this duel as well during Mimi's turn was that it gave us some memeable faces. When Dying Quito was summoned out into the field and we got the full design of Dying Quito, we see Luke, Roman, and Gakuto's faces when she summons this ace monster, and holy crap, were they priceless. I mean, let me just start off by saying this. During the lifespan of the Yugioh Sevens manga and just Yu-Gi-Oh in general, if these faces never get memed by the Yu-Gi-Oh meme community, I would be shocked. I mean, these faces look like they belong on a meme. So for all you Yu-Gi-Oh memers out there and you're looking for a new image for one of your memes, I got some images for you right here from the Yugioh Sevens manga. I mean, these faces just feel like they fit on a meme. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but they just look like memeable faces. But that's essentially just Mimi's turn. She's able to get her Dying Quito ace out onto the field, gain some life points, and goes to Luke's turn, and now she has to deal with Dying Quito and Mimi having 5,000 life points. But what's very interesting about this is that Luke kind of has a dilemma with this, because up to this point, he's been relying on Dragears alone to win his duels. However, he can't necessarily rely only on Dragears, because Dragears has the same attack points as Dying Quito, so if the two monsters battled, they would both be destroyed, and Mimi would still have a monster on her field since she also summoned another monster with her Dying Quito ace. So essentially, if the two monsters crashed with each other, Mimi would have an overwhelming advantage, especially if she's able to draw into more monsters and able just to wipe out Luke in one turn. So essentially, Luke has to try to get over Dying Quito essentially without Dragears by itself specifically, because he can still use Dragears and use like a spell card that can be able to gain Dragears attack points or lower Dying Quito's attack points. That way he can get over it and essentially be able to beat her that way. But instead of doing all of that, he ends up summoning Miragias during this duel, which I was very surprised about. I mean, for people that may or may not remember, Miragias was not introduced into the anime series until I believe the third arc. So the fact that we're seeing it this early in the manga series was very surprising to me. Now, it's not a new ace for Luke, but to be fair, this is the beginning stages of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga, so for him to use monsters that are the same from his anime counterpart, it's understandable, which I still do hope we see new ace monsters for Luke and the rest of the group, but seeing Miragias, I'm fine with that. But I will say, though, I was very surprised that we saw it, especially since when you look at the anime and how late Miragias was debuted, the fact that we saw Miragias this early in the manga series was a very surprising twist, but he ends up getting Miragias onto the field, uses its effect to be able to make Kito and the other monster lose attack points, and allows them to attack twice with that monster. He gets another dragon out onto the field, and essentially OTKs Mimi in that turn, is able to destroy both of her monsters with Miragias and attack directly with the other monster he summons out onto the field, and essentially Mimi loses the duel. But after the duel, things get pretty interesting at the end of this chapter, which also gets me very excited for the future of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga, as after Luke ends up defeating Mimi, Luke notices after going up to Mimi and basically explaining, like, this is how a king duels, or a future king duels, he notices that after the duel, she ended up dropping a card, ends up picking it up and starts asking her, you know, what is this card? What is this all about? And Mimi explains that that is the card from the king, or it was something in that regards. And Luke gets surprised by that comment, and the final panel that we got was Luke looking at the card in shock, and right to the left of him, we see the boy himself, Roa Kirishima. Ladies and gentlemen, Roa Kirishima is confirmed to be in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga. I mean, to be honest, that wasn't really a big surprise at all. I mean, he's a very important character in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens anime. I mean, besides the main core four, him, Nail, and Asana are very important characters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens anime, and they're fan-favorite characters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens anime as well. So the fact that we now have confirmation from this chapter that Roa is going to be coming to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga gets me very excited. I really do like Roa, even though he's been a little bit disappointing in the anime, but maybe they can make up for that in the manga. We're gonna have to wait and see on that, but Roa Kirishima is going to be coming to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga, and that gets me very excited for the future of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga. But with that being said, that is going to be it for this Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga chapter review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys' thoughts were on Chapter 4 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga. Did you like it? Did you think it was okay? Or did you think the chapter was not really that good at all? Now, let me know you guys' thoughts on the fact that Mimi got introduced in this chapter, and they hinted that Roa was going to be coming into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga. Let me know you guys' thoughts on those two characters coming to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens manga. Do you like it, or do you not like it at all, and you wish they stayed out of the manga? And let me know you guys' thoughts on the duel between Luke and Mimi. Again, a duel that we actually didn't get to see in the anime. We did get to see that duel in the manga, and I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this duel and if you liked it or not. But with that being said, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.